What if I told you that the single greatest lie holding people back isn't lack of money, lack of talent, or even lack of time? The real prison is the belief that you must be ready before you begin. Most people spend their whole lives waiting for the fear to go away, waiting for the perfect plan, waiting for some magical green light that says, "Now you are ready." But here's the secret: that green light never comes. And yet those who build great lives are not the ones who waited. They are the ones who stepped forward, trembling, unsure, even afraid, but they stepped forward anyway. Today, I want to tell you a story about what Napoleon Hill called the greatest truth of success. Action creates readiness. Not the other way around. The traveler in the fog. Imagine a traveler standing on the edge of a long road. It's dawn. The air is thick with fog, so heavy that the path ahead is invisible. The traveler thinks, maybe I should wait until the sun burns away this fog. Then I'll see clearly. Then I'll feel ready. But the wise knows something different. Each step forward cuts through the mist. What was hidden becomes visible only because the traveler moved. That is life. That is success. That is growth. You don't wait for the fog to clear before you walk. You walk, and in walking the fog clears. The teacher who waited. I once knew a woman who dreamed of becoming a teacher. For 3 years she read books about teaching, practiced her voice in front of the mirror, and told herself she wasn't ready. She thought, one day, I'll feel confident. One day, I'll know enough. One day, I'll finally start. But one autumn morning, she realized the truth. Waiting was only making her weaker. She didn't need more waiting. She needed movement. So she found a small job helping children at a local school. She was nervous. She made mistakes. But every mistake taught her more than years of waiting ever could. Within 1 year, she had learned more about teaching than in all her years of getting ready. She was living her dream, not because she was fully prepared, but because she dared to begin. Napoleon Hill wrote, "Do not wait. The time will never be just right. Start where you stand, and work with whatever tools you may have at your command." That's exactly what she did. Why readiness is an illusion. Here's a truth most people never realize. Readiness is like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. The moment you think you've got it, it slips away. You tell yourself, "I'll start when I feel more confident." But confidence doesn't come from waiting, it comes from doing. You say, "I'll start when I have more knowledge." But knowledge deepens fastest when you are in motion, not when you are frozen in preparation. You whisper, "I'll start when I feel no fear." But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's walking forward while fear screams in your ears. The perfect moment never arrives. The stars don't align. The butterflies in your stomach don't go away. Real success begins when you move forward anyway. The man who failed first. Let me tell you about another person. A man who wanted to own a shop. He saved his money, rented a small space, and opened his doors. Within 6 months he had to close. His products were wrong. His prices were wrong. His customers never came. By every outside measure, he had failed. Most people would have given up. They would have said, "I guess I wasn't cut out for this." But this man didn't quit. He studied his mistakes. He talked to potential customers. He walked into successful shops and took notes. He asked, "What went wrong? What can I learn?" 2 years later, he tried again. This time, he chose a better location. He sold products people wanted. He set prices that worked. And his little shop became a thriving business. That first failure was not his ending, it was his teacher. Napoleon Hill would call that temporary defeat, not permanent failure. Without it, the man would never have built the knowledge, confidence, and clarity he needed to succeed. The secret Napoleon Hill discovered here is the lesson Hill discovered after interviewing hundreds of the world's most successful people. Action is the seed. Clarity, confidence, and success are the harvest. But you cannot harvest what you never plant. You cannot think your way into readiness. You cannot plan your way into certainty. You must act your way into both. Hill said, "You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great." Your first step. So let me ask you, what is the dream that's been living inside you? Maybe it's starting a business. Maybe it's writing a book. Maybe it's building a stronger body, or leaving a job you hate, or learning a new skill. Whatever it is, stop waiting for the perfect moment. It will never come. But here's the good news, you don't need it. Take the first step. No matter how small, no matter how shaky. That first step will unlock the second. The second will unlock the third. And soon, you will look back and realize how far you've already come. Like the traveler in the fog, every step you take clears the path a little more. Closing your limits are not real. They are shadows in your mind. Doubt will not disappear when the world approves of you. Doubt disappears the moment you decide to act.so. Don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait for the fear to vanish. Don't wait for someone else to give you permission. Begin now. Because readiness is not something you wait for, it is something you create. Sparkles, that's part 1, about 1,050 words. It's story-driven, rooted in Napoleon Hill's philosophy, simple for Americans to follow, and sets up the series well. Part 2, how confidence and persistence unlock your true potential. Hook. What if I told you that your greatest strength isn't in your past, your age, or even your talents, but in your ability to keep moving forward when others stop? Napoleon Hill taught us that every obstacle is a disguised opportunity, and that confidence is not a gift, but something we build brick by brick. In this part, we're going to explore 3 truths. 1. Your potential has no expiry date. Point 2. Confidence is built, not given. Point 3. Obstacles are not stop signs, they are teachers. Let me show you through stories how these truths can transform your life. The woman who found her gift at 50. I once knew a woman who spent 3 decades working in an office. Numbers, reports, deadlines, that was her life. She did her job well, but every day she felt a quiet restlessness in her heart. One afternoon, in her 50s, she walked past an art shop. In the window, brushes and paints called to her like old friends. She hesitated, then on impulse, walked inside and bought a small beginner's set. That night, she painted her first picture. The colors were muddy, the shapes uneven, and the canvas looked like a child's attempt. But she felt something powerful, a spark. She painted another, then another. Her skills grew slowly. Her hands became steadier. Her eyes learned to see light, shadow, and beauty in ways she never noticed before. Within 5 years, people were buying her paintings. Local galleries displayed her work. She had unlocked a gift that had been waiting inside her all along. What if she had told herself, "I'm too old to start"? She would have carried her hidden gift to the grave. Napoleon Hill said, "Do not wait for extraordinary opportunities. Seize common occasions and make them great. Weak men wait for opportunities, strong men make them." Every morning you wake up, you hold the pen. The story of your life isn't finished. No matter your age or your past choices, your potential is alive, waiting for you to write the next chapter. Confidence is built, not given. Many people believe that confidence is something you're born with, like eye color or height. They look at bold speakers, fearless leaders, or daring entrepreneurs and think, they have something I don't. But here's the truth, confidence is not a gift, it's a skill. And like any skill, you build it through use. Think of a blacksmith. He doesn't shape steel into a fine sword with one powerful blow. He heats it, strikes it, and shapes it over and over. Each strike seems small by itself, but together they create strength. Your confidence is the same. Every small action you take shapes it. I once knew a woman terrified of speaking in front of others. Even talking to a group of 3 or 4 made her hands shake and her voice tremble. For years, she stayed silent, hiding her ideas and avoiding attention. Then one day, she decided she had hidden long enough. She volunteered to speak at a small neighborhood meeting. Only 12 people sat in the room, but the night before, she barely slept. Her stomach twisted with worry. When her moment came, her voice cracked and stumbled. But she finished. She said what she came to say. And when it was over, she realized something life-changing. She survived. 2 weeks later, she spoke again. Her voice was stronger. A month later, stronger still. Within 2 years, this same woman was leading meetings and giving presentations to crowded rooms. She wasn't born with confidence. She built it, one small step at a time. This is exactly what Napoleon Hill meant when he said, "Do the thing, and you shall have the power." Confidence comes in the doing, not the waiting. Obstacles are teachers, not roadblocks. Most people believe that hitting a wall means they're on the wrong path. They see difficulties as signs that their dream isn't meant to be. But this way of thinking destroys more dreams than failure ever could. The truth? Obstacles are not punishments. They are tests. They are lessons. They are opportunities to grow into the person capable of holding your dream. Think of water hitting a stone in its path. The water doesn't stop and say, "Well, I guess this is the end." No, it flows around the stone, over it, or waits until it can wear it down. Over time, water carves valleys, rivers, even canyons out of solid rock. You have the same power. When one door closes, you find another. When one method fails, you try again differently. Persistence is the secret ingredient that turns obstacles into stepping stones. Napoleon Hill called this temporary defeat. He wrote, "Before success comes in any man's life, he is sure to meet with much temporary defeat, and perhaps some failure. When defeat overtakes a man, the easiest and most logical thing to do is to quit. That is exactly what the majority of men do. But that is why many never realize their success. Let me share a story. A man I knew dreamed of running his own shop. He opened one with great excitement, but within 6 months it closed. Wrong location. Wrong products. Wrong pricing. Most people would have said, I guess I'm not cut out for business. But not him. He studied his failure. He talked to customers. He researched what successful shop owners were doing. 2 years later, he tried again. This time, he got it right. His shop flourished and still serves hundreds of people today. His first failure was not the end, it was the beginning. The stone in his path became the very thing that taught him how to succeed. Your path forward, so let's tie this together. Your potential has no expiry date. The dream in your heart is still alive, no matter your age or past failures. Confidence is built, not given. Don't wait for courage to show up. Act, and courage will grow. Obstacles are teachers. Every wall you face carries a lesson that can move you forward if you refuse to quit. The flowers that bloom late are no less beautiful. The sword forged by many strikes is stronger than one made quickly. The river that flows against rock proves that persistence can shape the world itself. And so can you. Closing, stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop believing you are too late. Stop thinking that confidence is something you must be handed before you begin. Your journey begins when you decide to step forward. Each step makes you stronger. Each challenge teaches you more. Each victory, no matter how small, builds the power within you. Napoleon Hill said it best. Our only limitations are those we set up in our own minds. So the question is, will you let the stone in your path stop you? Or will you keep walking until the stone itself becomes part of your strength? The choice is yours. And the time is now. Part 3. Lessons in setbacks, comparison, discipline, and growth. I once knew a woman whose heart was set on becoming a teacher. From the time she was a child, she dreamed of standing in front of a classroom, guiding young minds, and shaping futures. When she completed her training, she believed opportunity would open quickly, for her passion was undeniable. But passion alone did not open doors. She applied to schools, one after another. Some never replied to her letters. Others interviewed her but chose someone else. Rejections piled up until they threatened to bury her spirit. Her friends began finding positions. She watched them walk into classrooms while she remained on the outside. Doubt crept in. Perhaps I made a mistake, she thought. Most people would have stopped here, convinced that failure meant destiny was against them. But this woman chose another path. Instead of letting rejection crush her, she treated each setback as feedback. She asked schools for honest evaluations. She enrolled in additional courses to strengthen her teaching skills. She volunteered at community centers and libraries, working with children in her spare time. What seemed like failure became a season of preparation. She developed methods for helping struggling readers, a gift that became her signature strength. Parents began to notice her dedication. Teachers respected her persistence. 2 years later, the very schools that once turned her away began calling her. They had seen her work in the community. They knew of her extra training and experience. The same closed doors became wide-open invitations. Her story carries a lesson. Every setback hides a seed of advantage. Obstacles are not walls to stop you, but stepping stones to lift you higher, if you choose to see them that way. Comparison, the thief of progress. There is another truth I have learned. Comparison steals joy, focus, and progress. Too often, people measure their lives by what others achieve. They see a neighbor's new house and feel their own is too small. They hear of a friend's promotion and suddenly their own success feels worthless. They notice someone younger advancing faster and wonder if their years have been wasted. This habit of comparison is like a clever thief. It sneaks into your thoughts and robs you of the ability to see your own growth. It blinds you to the distance you've already traveled. Life does not unfold on identical roads. Each of us begins from a different place, faces different challenges, and carries different strengths. To compare one journey with another is as foolish as comparing the speed of a fish with the speed of a bird. Both move, but in their own element. Think of the forest. The oak does not envy the pine. The apple does not feel ashamed that it bears fruit different from the pear. Each tree grows according to its roots, its soil, and its nature. And each contributes something unique to the forest. So it is with you. Your roots, your experiences, your struggles, and your choices shape your path. Look too often at other trees, and you forget to nourish your own. I knew a woman who fell into this trap. She worked hard, yet every promotion given to a coworker made her feel small. Each word of praise for another seemed like a verdict against her. She lived in constant frustration, even though she was doing well. One day she tried something new. She began keeping track of her own progress, what she learned each week, what challenges she overcame, what skills she improved. Slowly, her confidence grew. She saw her own progress clearly. She stopped comparing her chapter to someone else's story. Within months, her work improved so greatly that she received the recognition she had long desired. Her breakthrough came the moment she shifted her focus from others to herself. Remember this: the only comparison that serves you is comparing who you are today with who you were yesterday. Ask yourself, am I wiser? Am I braver? Am I kinder? Those answers matter more than the successes of others. Discipline outweighs motivation. Many people rely on motivation to achieve their goals. They wait for inspiration, for that burst of energy that makes work feel easy. And when they feel inspired, they make progress. But when motivation fades, as it always does, they stop, waiting again for the spark to return. This cycle traps countless people in a pattern of starting and stopping. The truth is that motivation is like the weather: bright some days, cloudy on others, ever-changing. You cannot build your life on something so unreliable. What you need is something stronger and steadier: discipline. Discipline means doing the work whether you feel like it or not. A farmer does not ask himself if he feels motivated to water his crops. He knows the crops require care daily. He works in sunshine and in rain, when he feels strong and when he feels weary. His harvest depends not on his moods, but on his consistency. I once knew a woman who wanted to learn the piano. She bought a beautiful instrument, placed it proudly in her living room, and practiced with enthusiasm for several weeks. Then her excitement waned. Some days she was too tired, other days too busy. Weeks slipped by without practice. After 6 months, she had barely improved. She began to think she lacked talent. But the truth was not a lack of talent. It was a lack of discipline. So she changed her approach. She made a rule: 15 minutes every day, no matter how she felt. Some days she was inspired, other days bored, but she kept her promise. Within 3 weeks, she noticed progress. After a year, she could play music she once thought impossible. The secret was not hidden talent, but steady discipline. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the fuel that keeps the fire burning long after the spark has faded. Build habits. Keep promises to yourself. Discipline, not motivation, will carry you to the finish line. Growth requires discomfort. There is yet another truth: growth does not live in comfort. Many spend their lives chasing ease. They dream of the day when struggles end, when routines are safe and predictable. But comfort is not where you become your best. Comfort is where you remain as you are. Think of a seed buried in soil. It could remain safe underground, but then it would never grow. Only by pushing against the heavy earth, only by struggling upward, does it become the plant it was meant to be. So it is with you. When you avoid difficulty, you remain small. When you embrace challenge, you discover strength you never knew you had. I once knew a woman who stayed in the same job for 15 years. She knew every task by heart. Life was easy, predictable, comfortable. But slowly, she noticed the world changing. Younger employees advanced quickly. New skills were in demand. She realized she had been standing still. When her boss offered her a complex new project, she was terrified. It required new methods, new people, and responsibilities she had never carried. Every instinct urged her to decline. But she accepted. The first weeks were torture. She worked late, made mistakes, and felt overwhelmed. Many nights she doubted herself. Yet she pressed forward. Months later, she realized something remarkable. Tasks that once terrified her became manageable. Problems turned into puzzles. She gained skills and confidence she never imagined. By the end of the project, she was transformed. The discomfort she feared had been the very force that shaped her into a leader. The lesson is simple: growth hides on the other side of discomfort. Each challenge you embrace strengthens you for the next. If you wish to become all you are capable of becoming, do not chase comfort. Seek discomfort that stretches your limits. Take on challenges that force you to grow. For just as the seed must break through the soil to reach the sun, so must you break through fear, difficulty, and discomfort to reach the life you are meant to live. Sparkle's principle of Part 3. Setbacks contain seeds of advantage. Comparison robs you. Focus only on your own growth. Discipline is greater than motivation. Growth requires stepping into discomfort. Part 4. The unshakable force of persistence. There comes a moment in every dreamer's life when the fire of excitement fades, when the road feels longer than expected, and when failure begins to whisper in the ear. Maybe this isn't for you. That's the moment when ordinary people quit, and that's the moment when extraordinary people are born. Napoleon Hill called this power persistence. He wrote that persistence is to the character of man what carbon is to steel. It is the invisible element that makes you unbreakable. The farmer's story. Imagine a farmer in the heartland of America during the late 1800s. Year after year, he plants corn. 1 year, a drought comes. His crops dry up. Another year, locusts sweep across the land, destroying everything in sight. Another year, a storm floods his fields. Most men would give up, sell the farm, and walk away in defeat. But this farmer, he doesn't. He keeps sowing, keeps plowing, keeps believing that next season will be different. And one day, after years of struggle, his patience pays off. A perfect season comes. His corn grows tall, the harvest is abundant, and he becomes the wealthiest man in his county. It wasn't intelligence. It wasn't luck. It was persistence. Why most people quit. Napoleon Hill observed that many people quit when they are just 3 feet from gold. He told the famous story of R.U. Darby, who mined for gold, found nothing, quit, and sold his equipment. The man who bought it dug just 3 more feet, and struck one of the richest gold veins in Colorado. Darby later learned this painful lesson and applied it in the insurance business. With persistence, he became one of the most successful men in America. The lesson is clear: failure is never final unless you quit. Decision, the turning point. But persistence has a twin brother, decision. Without decision, persistence has no direction. Hill studied 25,000 people. He discovered that those who failed most often had a common weakness: indecision. Think about it. How many times have you hesitated, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for more knowledge, waiting for certainty? While you waited, someone else decided. And while they acted, they learned, adapted, and won. The world does not reward the timid. It rewards the decisive. The general who burned his boats. There's a story told for centuries about a general who led his army into battle on foreign shores. Once they landed, he gave a shocking order: burn the boats. His men gasped. Without boats, there was no way to retreat. The general told them, "We win, or we die here." With no way back, the soldiers fought with a fire they had never known before, and they won. That's the power of decision. When you cut off all other options, when you burn your boats, when you refuse to retreat, victory becomes the only outcome. The mastermind principle. Yet persistence and decision alone are not enough. Every great man or woman Hill studied had another secret: the mastermind alliance. No one climbs to greatness alone. Behind every fortune, behind every breakthrough, there is always a group of minds working together, sharpening each other like iron against iron. Andrew Carnegie, the steel magnate, admitted that his entire fortune was built on his mastermind group. Dozens of brilliant men who each brought knowledge he didn't have. Henry Ford had Thomas Edison. Edison had Harvey Firestone. They met regularly, shared ideas, and lifted each other higher. When 2 or more minds come together in harmony for a definite purpose, Hill said, a third mind is created, a mind of infinite intelligence. That is the mastermind. Story of 2 friends. Picture 2 young men in the early 1900s. Both dream of building businesses. The first works alone. He hides his ideas, afraid someone might steal them. He tries to solve every problem by himself. After years, he is exhausted. His dream never grows beyond a small shop. The second man does something different. He finds 2 trusted friends who share his vision. They meet weekly, discussing strategies, challenging each other, encouraging one another. Years later, that small alliance grows into a company that dominates an entire industry. The difference? One man tried to carry the world on his shoulders. The other shared the weight and lifted the world higher. The 3 forces together. Persistence keeps you moving when failure says stop. Decision locks you into a path where success is the only outcome. The mastermind gives you strength beyond your own. Together, they form a trinity of unstoppable power. Bringing it home. So let me ask you, where have you been tempted to quit? when you were only 3 feet from gold? What decision have you been delaying, waiting for a perfect moment that will never come? Who are the people in your life that can become your mastermind, sharpening you, challenging you, and multiplying your strength? Hill said that persistence is the power that turns failure into victory. Decision is the spark that ignites action, and the mastermind is the wind that carries your flame into a wildfire. Final story: Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison tried over 10,000 times to invent the electric light bulb. Reporters mocked him. "Mr. Edison, you have failed 10,000 times." Edison smiled and replied, "I have not failed. I have simply found 10,000 ways that will not work." That's persistence. He decided he would never quit until he succeeded, and he surrounded himself with a team of brilliant men, a mastermind group that helped bring his vision to life. The result? A world forever changed by light. Your turn. Persistence, decision, and the mastermind are not just principles from a dusty book. They are living forces waiting for you to claim them. If you persist where others quit, if you decide when others hesitate, if you surround yourself with minds that lift you higher, there will be no dream too distant, no goal too great, no mountain too high. Because as Napoleon Hill taught, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Part 5. The Hidden Power Within. Subconscious Mind in the Brain. 1,000 words, storytelling style. There is a story of a young man named David who grew up in the shadow of failure. His father had lost everything in a failed business. His mother carried quiet sorrow, and every dinner conversation echoed the same message. "Life is hard, money is scarce, don't expect too much." David carried these words like invisible weights. He worked hard, but no matter what he tried, small jobs, new ventures, even moving to another city, he ended up back where he started, broke, tired, and uncertain of his future. One night, sitting in a cold apartment, David opened a tattered copy of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. His eyes landed on a line that struck him like a lightning bolt. "The subconscious mind does not care what you plant in it. It will grow whatever you feed it, success or failure, abundance or poverty." That night David realized something powerful. All his life, he had been planting seeds of doubt, fear, and failure. And his subconscious mind, like faithful soil, had simply grown the harvest he had sown. The subconscious mind, your silent servant. Napoleon Hill taught that your subconscious is like a silent butler who never questions, never rests, and never refuses. It takes every order you give it, through your thoughts, emotions, and repeated words, and works day and night to make it real. If you tell yourself, "I can't do it. I'm not good enough. Success is for others," your subconscious says, "As you wish," and quietly directs your actions and circumstances to match. But if you say, "I am worthy. I am capable. I have burning desire, and I will not stop until I succeed," the same subconscious goes to work to align your habits, decisions, and opportunities with that belief. David decided that night to reprogram his mind. Planting new seeds, he began with a small ritual. Every morning before work, he stood before his cracked mirror, looked himself in the eye, and declared, "I am destined for success. I attract ideas, people, and opportunities that bring me wealth and growth. My life is changing day by day." At first, it felt foolish. The old voice of doubt whispered, "This is nonsense." But David remembered Hill's words. Repetition of affirmation of orders to your subconscious mind is the only known method of voluntary development of emotion of faith. So he persisted. He wrote down his goals, read them before bed, and visualized them as if already real. Within weeks, his energy shifted. He walked differently, spoke with more confidence, and attracted people who noticed his new spark. The brain, a broadcasting station. Napoleon Hill described the brain as more than an organ. It is a broadcasting and receiving station of thought. Just like a radio, it sends out vibrations of your dominant thoughts into the universe, and it also picks up thoughts from others. When David began thinking differently, he noticed something strange. He would meet someone at the coffee shop who had the exact solution to a problem he was struggling with. Or an old friend would suddenly call with an opportunity that matched his new goals. Hill called this phenomenon infinite intelligence. When your brain is tuned to faith, desire, and persistence, it picks up ideas, opportunities, and inspiration that were always there, but hidden from a mind clouded by fear. A turning point: one day, David was offered a chance to join a small marketing firm. He was not the most experienced, but his enthusiasm and clear vision impressed the owner. Within months, he rose quickly, bringing fresh ideas and unstoppable energy. He no longer doubted his worth, because his subconscious was now his ally. Each night before sleep, he replayed his day in his mind, reinforcing successes and planting the seeds of tomorrow's growth. His colleagues began to say, "David, you always seem to know what to do next. You have incredible instincts." But David knew it wasn't magic. It was the power of a mind trained to believe, visualize, and expect success. The invisible partnership. Napoleon Hill emphasized that success is never just about what you consciously do. It's about the partnership between your conscious goals and your subconscious programming. Think of it like rowing a boat. Your conscious mind is one oar, your subconscious the other. If they row in opposite directions, you spin in circles. But when both row together, you move forward with power and speed. David's life became a living proof of this law. The more he impressed his goals upon his subconscious, the more his brain seemed to broadcast energy that attracted the right people, the right timing, the right resources. Your story. David's transformation holds a mirror to your own life. What seeds are you planting in your subconscious? Are you feeding it with fear, excuses, and doubt? Or are you feeding it with burning desire, faith, and persistence? Remember this truth: you cannot escape the harvest of your own mind. If you want a different life, you must first plant different thoughts. A challenge for you tonight: before you sleep, write down one clear statement of what you want most in life. Read it aloud with emotion, as if it's already true. Then, repeat it every morning and every night. Do this not once, not for a week, but until your subconscious accepts it as fact. Because once it does, your brain will begin to broadcast new vibrations, and life will send back opportunities you cannot imagine today. Closing. Napoleon Hill said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." Your subconscious conceives. Your brain broadcasts. Your faith believes. And your persistence achieves. The question is, will you give your inner power the right instructions? The choice, my friend, is yours. White heavy check mark. That's part 5 complete, 1,000 words. Would you like me to make part 6 the final chapter on the sixth sense and infinite intelligence, tying all principles together with a powerful ending plus call to action for your YouTube storytelling audience? Part 6. The secret door inside you. The old man sat in silence. His eyes, clouded by age yet sharp with wisdom, looked at the young dreamer sitting across from him. They had been meeting for weeks. The boy had learned about desire, about faith, about persistence, about imagination. He had even learned about the power of decision and the invisible strength of the mastermind. But tonight, something was different. Tonight, the old man said, "Now you are ready for the final lesson. The one Napoleon Hill called the greatest of all treasures. The key that unlocks everything else." The boy leaned forward. "And what is that key?" The old man smiled. "It is simple. Everything you've learned, desire, belief, persistence, imagination, decision, faith, all of it is useless unless you do one thing: apply it daily until it becomes who you are. The secret is transmutation of thought into action, and action into habit. That is the door you must open. The final bridge, from thinking to living." Napoleon Hill wrote, "Knowledge is only potential power. It becomes power only when organized into definite plans of action." This is the point where most people fail. They read the books. They write the notes. They talk about their dreams. But they do not live them. They never cross the bridge between thinking and being. The boy frowned. "But I'm already doing things. I'm already working." The old man shook his head. "No. You are dabbling. You are trying. But life will not bend to those who try. It bends only to those who become. You must transform every thought of success into a way of living. That is how ordinary men become extraordinary." The power of identity. The old man told the story of Thomas Edison. When Edison was working on the light bulb, he failed thousands of times. People laughed at him. They mocked him. But do you know what Edison said? He said, "I have not failed. I have simply found 10,000 ways that will not work." You see, Edison never tried to become an inventor. He was an inventor. He lived it, breathed it, carried it as his identity. That is why the light finally came. The boy nodded slowly. "Your final task," the old man continued, "is to stop chasing success and instead become the kind of person who succeeds. Think, speak, and act as if your dream is already yours. For when you do this long enough, the world can no longer deny it to you." The subconscious door. Napoleon Hill wrote much about the subconscious mind. He said it is like a fertile garden. Whatever seed you plant there will grow. The old man explained. Each night before you sleep, you must feed your subconscious with the vision of your dream. Speak it out. See it. Feel it. Tell your mind, this is who I am. This is what I will be. Over time, your subconscious will believe it. And once it believes, it will direct your actions, your energy, and even attract the people and opportunities you need. That is why Hill called it the hidden door to infinite intelligence. The boy whispered. So the secret door is inside me. Yes, said the old man. It was never outside. It was waiting within you all along. The test of fire, the boy asked. But what if I fail? What if I fall again? The old man leaned closer. His voice softened. You will fail. You will fall. That is certain. But remember this. Napoleon Hill said that every adversity, every failure, every heartbreak carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. That is the law of life. When you fail, you are simply being tested, not destroyed. The fire is not meant to burn you. It is meant to refine you. The boy's heart pounded. He understood now. The failures were not his enemies. They were his training. The last lesson, service and growth. The old man stood slowly, his cane tapping against the floor. One final thing, he said. Success is not just about what you gain. It is about what you give. Napoleon Hill taught that true riches come to those who serve others with love, with creativity, with faith. If you use these principles only for yourself, your success will be shallow. But if you use them to lift others, your success will be eternal. The boy's eyes burned with tears. So this is it? This is the last lesson? The old man smiled faintly. Yes. Desire lit the fire. Faith carried it forward. Persistence kept it alive. Decision sharpened its edge. Imagination gave it wings. But action, daily, disciplined, identity-driven action, transforms it into reality. That is the complete secret. The awakening. The boy walked home that night under the stars, the words echoing in his heart. He felt different. Not like a student anymore, but like a man who had found his path. From that day forward, he stopped saying, I want to be. He began saying, I am. He stopped waiting for permission. He began acting with decision. He stopped fearing failure. He began embracing it as part of the path. He stopped dreaming only in his mind. He began living his dream through his habits. And as weeks turned into months, and months into years, the world around him changed. But more importantly, he had changed. The secret door had opened. Closing words to you, my friend. You are the boy in this story. You have walked with me through all 6 parts. You have learned desire, faith, persistence, imagination, decision, and now the final step, action that becomes habit, habit that becomes identity. Napoleon Hill's philosophy is not a book to be read once and set aside. It is a map to be lived daily. Every morning, choose your identity. Every day, walk as if your dream is already yours. Every night, plant the vision in your subconscious. Do this long enough, and nothing on earth can stop you. This is the end of the series, but truly, it is only the beginning of your story. Call to action. If these words stirred something inside you, then don't let it fade. Carry it with you. And if you felt inspired, I invite you, subscribe to this channel, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Your journey matters. Your dream matters. And together, we will keep the fire burning. Because the secret is not outside you. The secret is inside you.